Hello. Hi. My name is Noel, and welcome to Noodle On with Noel. Noodle On with Noel. This is going to be my brand new podcast. Just me talking and yapping. I've been made for my whole life. I've been told I talk a lot, and now I have a microphone that makes my voice uh, louder and we have the ability to spread it to more people. Okay, that was a rough introduction because as we get this is the pilot episode, so as we get, move further on, there will be more structure because I'm just finding my bearings. But I've been told a lot now that I should start a podcast. And in the past, I have had two different attempts at podcasting. Um, but this one's different. Okay, this one's very different, and I'm going to read you the prompt, the kind of the direction I plan on going. I plan on going on with this podcast. Okay, welcome to uh, Noodle On with Noel. What does Noodle On mean? Well, this is kind of fun because I was scrolling down my camera roll, and there was a picture that said Noel the Noodle. It just said Noel the Noodle. And I was like trying to think of podcast names. And somehow Noodle and Noel got involved. I don't know why. It's just a fun play on word or something. It's not a play on word. It's a alliteration. It's an alliteration. And it was going to be Noel the Noodle. But when speaking to my friend Lindsay, shout out to my friend Lindsay, she's like, I don't really like Noel the Noodle. I like Noodle On with Noel. The super, well, first of all, it relates to me because I love noodles. I absolutely love pasta and noodles. Uh, According to Google, noodle on is a slang expression that means to think about something without giving it full or serious attention. And that is kind of perfect for what is going to go on here every week when, I want this to be something where you are driving to work at 8 a.m. and you're like, I need something to relax to and someone to brighten my day. That's where that's where this podcast comes in. Okay. It's not to be taken too seriously. And I want to also use my platform and this podcast to interview in the coming weeks. We are going to be interviewing tons of people. And it's not going to be like the average, it's going to be fun people I find interesting, people I want to hear their stories. So without further ado, welcome to welcome to, what's my podcast name? Welcome to Noodle On with Noel, where chaos meets charm, hosted by Noel. That's me, a hilariously unfiltered, high-voiced, authentically down-to-earth guy who's been through the ringer and back again, with a past that includes battling addictions, accidentally burning a house down. Seriously, that's a real story. And I'm bipolar 2 disorder. Noel turns his wild life into lessons, laughs, and heartwarming honesty. Expect raw conversations, absurd antidotes, and the kind of wisdom only someone who's lived it can deliver. Come for the chaos, stay for the noodle. I want to thank ChatGPT for that. I basically put a prompt that said, help me come up with a podcast description of blah, 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 this. And I put a little of my history. And ChatGPT, by the way, I want to say, if I was back in school and this ChatGPT was around, wow, what a game changer. Man, that would have been a game changer. Okay, I've definitely heard some. So I definitely heard in the past when looking up research about podcast and other podcasters telling me you don't want dead space. You don't want dead space. And you don't want to say a lot of filler words like because I've been saying a lot. So hopefully we'll get, we're gonna get into this. We're gonna get used to this. Um, 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 um. Okay. Yeah. So I know that a single person podcast can be very hard talking about, talking about anything for a full hour without someone else to take up the space. It is quite challenging. But I'm good at it, I think. So so with this is the pilot episode. I'm basically just testing if everything's working, but I want to share a little bit about myself. I am a 12-time Ironman finisher. Obviously, I have a very high voice that most of my social media comments think is fake. It's not. This is real. Um, I battled heroin addiction for the bigger part of my adolescence. Is that what you call it? Like, I don't know, like 16 to 20 years old. I was an IV drug addict user. I used narcotics intravenously. That is with a needle. I now have overcome this addiction. That was 10 years ago. I've also I now use that story of sharing how I overcame addiction and learned about my mental health issues, which were the underlying cause of why it got so bad. I share it on all my social media, and now I've garnered, is it garnered or garnered? Garnered over 1 million followers on TikTok, a few 100,000 on Instagram, and I equate that to sharing my story. And so, and there's a lot of other podcasts that I've been on where where I share my full story in depth, which I will do here. But I just wanted to kind of give you an example, not an example. I wanted to kind of give you an update. I want to kind of tell you who I am. Except everyone listening to this first one at least, knows who I am. So and I've always wanted to have a consistent podcast. I've tried twice now, and this time it's just me. I'm in charge. I'm the CEO, if you will. And this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk every week, once a week, about overcoming obstacles, navigating challenges, and finding positivity to keep the ball rolling no matter what life throws at you. Come for the laughs, stay for the life lessons, and discover how to turn your noodle moments into something extraordinary. Where is this noodle coming from? I know. The noodle part of this is coming from the alliteration Noel the Noodle. I love it. And it was so not thought out enough to where, noodle on with Noel. Noodle on. Noodle on, bro. Okay. Um, some fun facts about me, your host, Noel Mulkey. I actually let's back up. Should I call you guys my Noodle Squad? My brand is Noel Soul, and I used to call my people Noel Soul Family, Team Noel Soul. But I love Noodle Squad, so I think we're gonna call each other you're my Noodle Squad. Okay, I think it's funny. You're the Noodle Squad. So where are we at? Okay, a long time ago. Um. Oh, okay. So let's just keep this going. Having a little bit of a blank because yeah, this is hard. This is definitely hard. Coming up with stuff to say, but I will do it. I'm going to get so good at this. All right. So a lot of the times a lot of this podcast will be also answering questions from my comment section because I get so many questions about really good questions, and I always want to answer them a lot more in detail than Instagram allows or TikTok allows because you only have so many characters you can put in your comments. So, yeah, I want to use this opportunity with this new podcast to answer questions that I literally have too much to say to answer. So, that's what we'll do. And then, okay. And so then in my mind, I'm picturing down the line interviews with other triathletes. So I'm a triathlete. I have finished 12 Ironmans. The best one I've ever done was last year, and since that, I have not been able to get back to what I felt was the fittest I've ever been due to injuries. And it's been a long, really long year, and I'm injured actually again currently, and I need a project. I need a big project. And Noel the Noodle. No, Noodle On with Noel. Noodle On with Noel by Noel the Noodle is my project. We have a lot of stories to get to, and I am really excited to see if people even can make it to the end of this podcast without getting bored. So, all right, what are we doing here? Okay, so I have 3 dogs. I currently live in Vermont, but I travel all over the world. There's no more trips planned for the year. I've been to Australia twice this year, Hawaii, and Tahiti, and Fiji, and New Zealand. Really, all of that was only because of my hip injury. So, you know what? Also, for people who are reaching out, for people who know a lot about technology, I need someone to make a fun intro jingle for me. All right. So, where are we at? Okay. The noodle. A noodle. Why the noodle? Well, it's simple. Life is twisty, it's messy, and sometimes it feels like you're just trying to stay al dente. But no matter how tangled up things get, you can still turn into something amazing. So, Noodle Squad, my noodlers. I love it. I love it. This is going to be so fun. Also, I don't know if you know this. So I'm born and raised in Oklahoma, and there's a big pastime in Oklahoma and in the South called noodling, and it's fishing with your hands. People will go to like the sides of the lake where the rocks are, but there's like big deep holes, and these guys or women or noodlers will stick their hand in these holes, and they actually want to be bitten because when the fish bites them, they can pull it out and they have the fish. It's called noodling. Gosh, I hope I didn't get that wrong. Maybe I should have looked that up. Let me look this up. I'm pretty sure noodling is the act of fishing. We're really, really spending a lot of time on. Yes, it's noodling is fishing for catfish. Looks extremely painful. Primarily in the southern United States, the noodler places their hand or foot, I guess they use foot, inside a discovered catfish hole in order to catch the fish. Man, that's scary. This has nothing to do with noodling fishes. This is just I'm trying to explain more reasons why Noodle On with Noel is a thing, because I know what you're thinking. Another podcast. Get it together. Okay, so all right. So, I am mentally ill. I'm on a stable regimen of medication, but I was diagnosed when I was well, you know what? I would say I was never actually properly diagnosed until after I was finally off all self-medication drugs. Ever since I was off drugs, I got off the drugs at 20. Oh, my drug of choice is opiates, heroin, to be precise. And I don't want to make this podcast or any media I put out for the next decade or whatever about this. This is now a chapter I would like to leave, but it's also a part of who I am and how I have the wherewithal, if you will, to put my 2 cents on a lot of different challenges that life throws at you. Because uh, when you overcome something like addiction, or you overcome something like, I don't want to, a really bad illness, cancer, or something. When you overcome something that was supposed to take your life, you have a new. I've always said, and I actually didn't make this up. I heard it somewhere. Someone said, you have no bad days. You just have good days and better days, but no bad days. And I want to say that is something, when I heard that, that stuck with me, because you weren't even supposed to be here. I wasn't even supposed to be here, but I am. And so you made it through, and now it's no bad days. Now, I have to remind myself of this a lot, because this year, I would say, was filled with bad days. I went to Australia twice to figure out that I was injured with a femoral neck stress reaction twice in the same year. So, yeah, that's what this is going to be about. I really just wanted to put something out there and see what the sound quality is like. And I wanted to just make sure I'm even able to talk for X amount of minutes, which I am. This is fun. I can talk all day, especially when I know people are listening. So this is really this might not even make the cut as episode 1. No, this will be episode 1. Yeah. This will be episode 1. I'm really want some feedback, and I want to answer the questions. I want people to ask questions, and I want people to engage. You guys are my Noodle fam, my Noodle Squad. This is Noodle On with Noel. And before we wrap up this first episode, I want to leave you with this. No matter how messy or tangled your life might feel, it's still yours to shape. Just like noodles, we can be soft, we can bend, but we don't break. I don't know about that one, ChatGPT, because noodles do break. Thanks for listening to Noodle On with Noel. Yes, this was super short, but remember, this is the pilot episode. If you liked it, hit that subscribe button, leave a review, or share it with someone who needs a laugh and a little inspiration. Catch you next week, Noodles. Until then, stay twisty, stay strong, and remember, it's all part of the recipe. I'm going to put this podcast everywhere, by the way. It's going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube. There's a YouTube channel, Instagram channel, TikTok. It's everywhere, because I want it to be big. And I'm going to stick with this. All right. Love you, Noodle Squad. I'm excited for this. I'm really excited. Okay.